welcome to this week's video. For this week, I'm doing my wrap-up for the month of October, and this is going to be a few books that I read in the month of October and sharing my thoughts with you. I'd say it was sort of a half-half this month. I have two DNFs and one that I enjoyed and one that I loved so very, very much. But we're going to get to the DNFs first. And unfortunately, they are both of the ebook and audio variety. I had better luck with my paperbacks this month. And I think, if I remember correctly, that was the same that happened in September. The paperbacks are doing it for me this fall season. So, not having much luck with the ebooks. So, for the first ebook, this one's an ebook, and it is, let's get that, The Substitute by Denise Grover Swank. And it started off really, really amazing. I enjoyed the beginning of it so much, and it had such promise. It was this girl who she had been dumped by her asshole of a boyfriend, and who she never really brought home to see the family because her family, she has issues with her family, particularly her mother. Her mother is a very sort of uptight society type that sort of always looks down on her daughter and is just critical of her daughter. So the heroine didn't really feel like she could, bring the boyfriend home, and the boyfriend ended up being an asshole anyway. But there is, I think it's her sister's wedding, that she, rather than tell the family that she and the boyfriend broke up, she decides that she's going to go and to the wedding anyway. And on the way there, on the plane, she meets a guy, and gets very, very drunk, and he helps her off the plane, and the family mistakes him for the boyfriend and fiance. And I think it's she is the one who's supposed to be getting married. Yes, she's the one who's supposed to be getting married. And instead of telling her family that she and the boyfriend broke up, because she's not good with confrontation, she brings a fake boyfriend. And I enjoy me some fake relationship tropes. So this was starting off like really wonderful. The comedy was great. And in the beginning, I would say that the thing that I liked most about it is, unlike a lot of other authors I've read who try and do a comedy, she didn't veer into like the slapstick comedy type thing where it's sort of like gags for laughs kind of thing. The comedy came naturally during like the banter and the situations created by the conversations the characters had. And then we met the grandmother, and that's when it fell apart for me, because that's when it veered into sort of slapstick gags for laughs kind of thing. The grandmother was supposedly a free spirit type who liked to walk around naked. I mean, there's a scene where the fake boyfriend comes in on her accidentally, and she's doing yoga naked, like completely naked. And instead of, oh my God, this strange, essentially a stranger still man, even though he's engaged to her granddaughter, this stranger man has come in, and I'm naked. Instead of covering up for him not to feel uncomfortable, she continues to do the yoga and invites him to join her in the yoga, and he does. So he's there doing yoga with this naked old lady. Okay, I'm like, is she mentally ill? But then no, she walks like down into like the kitchen and all this stuff, and like she's like completely naked. And the heroine is like trying to like, the heroine and the family are like laughing it off, like, oh, like, don't mind grandmother, she's just a free spirit, at her age, she just, no. If anybody did that, you would put them in a home. Somebody who does this is mentally ill, and you that's not acceptable. There's free spirit where she's like an 80-year-old woman like doing yoga and like speaking her mind and all that all stuff is like great. But once she's doing it like naked and asking your fiance to like join her, like, no, that just, it put me off, pulled me out of the story, ruined it for me, because I'm like, the story was going great, the comedy was great, you didn't need to pull the naked grandmother. That was just cheap, in my opinion. So that didn't work for me. Then we had in Audible. Unfortunately, this one didn't work for me either. And it was my first Kristen Ashley. It's an Audible, and it was Dream Maker by Kristen Ashley. And I wanted to like it, but I just didn't like the voice. And I don't mean the narrator, because she was fine. I didn't like the writing voice and the whole like starting her day where like everything goes wrong, and like it just, I don't know, it's just so overdone, where like, I don't know, like you're trying to like make the heroine relatable, like, oh look, she has problems like the rest of us have problems, and oh my goodness, could her day get any worse, kind of thing. And like, oh, then she's going to meet the hero, and he's either going to be like really, really nice to her and save her day, or like really crappy to her, and then she's going to have to like, like penetrate his, like crabby defenses, and like, just, no, it just didn't work for me. And I wanted to like it because the premise seemed like really, really, he seemed, at least in the blurb, he came across as like this sort of like nice, sort of like beta kind of hero, and I like my alphas, don't get me wrong, but I love a beta hero. Like, I call them, I love the Paceys. I love, what would be an alpha equivalent to Pacey? Pacey from Dawson's Creek. If you're a child, or if you were a teenager in the 90s, you knew Pacey from Dawson's Creek, and sort of like that kind of hero. I would term as a beta hero. Pacey was a beta for sure. And so yeah, that in the blurb, that's sort of like what the hero came across as. And so I was looking forward to it, but just the writing voice just did not do it for me, and that's unfortunate. So next we have my paperbacks. Put that over there. And we will start with the Good, which was, and again, I don't have the sleeve, the jacket sleeve for it, but it is Frank McCourt's Angela's Ashes. I liked this book. I didn't love it, because it was essentially, it's Ireland, it's raining, and things are bad, and people are poor for like, how many pages is this? For like 360 pages. I'd say for 350, it's Ireland, it's raining, people are poor, life sucks. And it's like there's like there's good, like there's interesting like anecdotes, and you know, like interesting like scenarios and like characters, and you know, like you're engaged in and like you're interested in like these people's lives, but it's so depressing. It's so depressing. It's just, again, it's Ireland, it's raining, people are poor, life sucks, and then Frankie gets a job. And then things start turning around. Because the father, oh my god, I don't understand why they didn't drop kick this man off a bridge. Because for like the longest time, it was the same as if he wasn't there. Like he'd come home after like pissing away all his money and like getting drunk, and then she'd have another baby with him because birth control wasn't a thing, and then he'd get another job and they'd get their hopes up, and then he'd get drunk and piss away the money. He'd piss away the money and get drunk and lose a job. Like this happened like throughout the course of the story like 6 or 7 times. And I'm like, okay, after like the 3rd time, why didn't you just kick him out? Because there was no point in him being there. Like, if he was there, you were poor and couldn't eat because he pissed away all the money. If he wasn't there, you were poor and couldn't eat because there was nobody earning any money. Either way, there was nobody earning any money. So, yeah, they had to go on like government assistance and all that, and it was just brutal because it was like a penny for like a week, and it was just bad. It was just so, like, the situations, the life was just so bad. The writing was good, but the life was just so bad. And then Frankie got a job. They had to wait until like the children were like old enough to start working, to not be like drunks and like piss away their money, because they were more responsible than their father had been, and so life got better. And then I think Frankie gets a job, or saves up money to go to America, which is where he had always wanted to go, because they actually like were born in America, and then for some reason, I don't remember why, but for some reason they decide it would be a good idea to move back to Ireland, because that's where the mother's from and the father were from. And like, what the? Why? Why? That's when their lives really went to shit. I mean, life was hard in America, but oh my god, when they got to Ireland, it was raining, they were poor, life sucked. It was Ireland, it was raining, they were poor, life sucked. So it was interesting, it was sad, half their children died, and then Frankie got a job and it got good. So yeah, that was Frank McCourt's Angela's Ashes. Now we come to the book that I loved so much this month that I cannot even, I mean, I think when I do my wrap up for my favorite books of the year, this might be number 3. So it's Karen White's The Lost Hours. Now, again, again, like Angela's Ashes, this is not a romance novel. No, 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 no. This is not a romance novel. There's a little like romance subplot, but it doesn't really like go like that far. Like it's sort of like a soft, sort of nice little. You get them sort of like in the beginning stages of their relationship, and then the story their romance will like go on, and that they get into a relationship later after the story's over. But it's a story about 3 friends in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia, in the 30s. So yeah, and there's a secret that rips the 3 friends apart. And the granddaughter of one of the friends, Piper, after her grandmother dies, she comes to Atlanta to learn the secret from the other woman, the other friend. And she was a horse. She was like an Olympic horse rider, or she was headed to the Olympics, and then she had an accident, and she had to give up riding. So she comes to investigate this secret that her grandmother had with these other 2 women, and she learns the other friend had also passed on, and that there's only one woman left. And so she sort of like infiltrates that woman's world and becomes friends with her grandson and her grandson's daughters, because the grandson lost his wife to suicide. And it's just like their like relationships and sort of like how they heal each other, and you learn sort of like the story of what happened in the 30s through like letters and like scrapbooks and little pieces that the old woman is willing to divulge and is not willing to divulge, that she eventually does. And it's just, I cried at the end of this book. And excuse me, let me fix that. I cried towards the end of this book. And then I cried even harder at the end because, oh, you think this book has punched you in the gut, and then it stabs you in the heart. This is a beautiful, heartbreaking, Costco box size tissue alert book. When you get towards the end and you learn what the secrets are, I'm not going to tell you because I want you to feel the pain. I want you to feel the pain that I felt. But I can't, like, it's beautifully written. Like, the writing style is gorgeous. The only thing that I would, one little criticism is, I would have stayed in either Lillian or Piper's point of view. You get like 3 different point of views, and one of them is Helen, and that's the Lillian's granddaughter, who is sister to the guy whose wife killed herself. I didn't think it was necessary to get her to go into her point of view. That's my own personal thing. That was my own personal opinion. I thought Lillian's and Piper's were fine. Because it did get just a teeny bit confusing between like Helen's point of view and Piper's point of view, because you weren't sure whose you were in sometimes. But that's my only issue with this book. Otherwise, it was a wonderfully painful book. So that's my wrap up for the month of October. Oh, let me show you what I am reading now. Nothing in Audible yet. Nothing in Audible right now. But I am reading at the moment Mail Order Outlaw by Cynthia Wolf. Mail Order Outlaw by Cynthia Wolf. And I'm liking it. I'm not loving it. I'll give it a little bit more because I love the premise. You know, marriage of convenience, sort of mail order. And sort of, in this case, I'd say even like that he's the mail order groom, not necessarily she's the mail order bride. But yeah, I'm liking it so far. Not loving it. We'll see how it goes. And oh, I forgot to bring it over. But in paperback, I am reading an anthology called the Mammoth Book of Regency Romance. And the last Mammoth book I read, I really enjoyed the stories inside. The last Mammoth book was the Mammoth Book of Erotic Romance and Domination, something like that. And I really enjoyed the stories in there. The Mammoth Book of Regency Romance, I am loving. There's so many stories in there that I'm bookmarking to show you guys for my next wrap up. There's we've got like Anna Campbell in there. We've got Lorraine Heath in there, which Lorraine Heath is like one of my favorite historical romance authors. Like, I love her so much. There are just fantastic stories in there, and I cannot wait to finish that and have that hopefully for you wrapped up in November. So that's going to be it for this week's video. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/authorejamie. Like my Facebook page at facebook.com/authorejamie, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!